Media and advertisement have a big impact on how we think we should act or how we think we should look because it's literally everywhere and all around us. Today, in our mini doc, we'll be focusing on how women are portrayed in various advertisements. So, in the 1970s, women were only really portrayed in two ways in advertisement, either the sexual object for men or the obedient housewife who just cooks and cleans. We'll be looking at the sexual objectification in this image here, and just by reading it, that's not cool. So this image is actually, or this advertisement's actually for a construction company, which you can't actually tell that it's for a construction company unless you read the very, very tiny print at the bottom. So this image, it portrays a woman's backside, and it actually doesn't show her face at all, and only her back, her hair, her butt, and her legs, which to me makes her seem less personified and more objectified. And the slogan is obviously problematic and misogynistic because it makes it seem that women are only valued or important if they're heavy in the right places. And that's just not true. And it's really insulting.
The 1980s was a big shift for women in advertisement. At this point, women are starting to be portrayed as businesswomen. Women in the 1980s wanted to radiate power in their style. They craved the balance of feminine and career-driven. The change in culture began to influence the media surrounding it. Revlon released a perfume line named Charlie in 1987 and used their advertisement to depict a businesswoman in charge. In the She's Charlie advertisement, you see the woman has established dominance. You see she is talking to the man and she is in control of the conversation. And this is where most of the 1980s advertisement was headed. You see the woman now starting to be a part of the conversation and is making business charges and needs. But you also have advertisement like this 1984 campaign pin that is way more feminine and is made to show a woman as a heart, and heart can be seen as weak, can be seen as vulnerable, and that's how they were still depicting women despite the woman's crave and need for wanting to be shown as more powerful in the workforce.
The 1990s were seen as a generally liberal decade, but that doesn't always mean much for the portrayal of women. Women's bodies being used to sell objects in and of itself is objectification, but the bodies being used went to a new extreme. Notably, Calvin Klein created its iconic image by using models with anorexic proportions and drugged-out expressions. In this Calvin Klein print advertisement, Kate Moss sits on a worn-down couch in a minimalist bra and underwear set. Her face is blank and gaunt, and her hair looks damp. Her body is very thin, and the photo emphasizes her protruding collarbones. I think one of the most important things about this is her face. She is not waspishly thin and happy. She looks ill and strung out. She also isn't doing anything. She's not advertising how well the product works. She is there only to be looked at. This perfume advertisement, called Fetish, shows a young woman, maybe even a teenager, with the perfume bottle clipped between her breast and the slogan, "Apply generously to your neck so he can smell the scent as you shake your head no." The implications are that her body and other women's bodies exist for male pleasure. Her desire doesn't matter. The colors used are light and happy, which is paradoxical to the message being sent.
In 2004, Dove's campaign for real beauty, women were portrayed just as they are, rather than superficial, unattainable female looks seen in beauty products. These advertisements called attention to imperfections by acknowledging natural beauty. Dove's ad campaign asked viewers to judge these women's looks and were invited to vote how they felt on their website. Following the same trend as Dove's Real Beauty campaign, in 2005, Nike had advertisements that celebrated women's butts, thighs, knees, and curves for being athletic. Instead of having petite models to advertise their product, the activewear is worn by women who are working out and becoming more muscular. The intention was to idolize female athletic bodies while aiming at empowering women who can be their authentic selves while improving their physical fitness.
Over the history of advertisement, the bodies of women have been frequently used by many companies and businesses for monetary gain. As you have seen from my groupmates, this trend is still very real even in the last few decades. In this most recent decade that we are currently in, this phenomenon is still present, however it is becoming less frequent, more inclusive, and less problematic. The bodies shown in advertisements are becoming more realistic and more representative of the majority of normal people so as not to exclude people or to create an unattainable standard. Many of the ads have also taken on a more positive and encouraging tone towards women who would be viewing the ad. However, there is still progress to be made, such as lessening the exploitation of their bodies. Overall, while the advertisements of this current decade, which feature women, have not changed drastically, they have made important progress and are moving in the right direction.